All right, Ruth Ann, it is Talk CDL time. How you doing today?
I'm doing well.
I am excited. We are just about in the month of May.
Yeah.
You know, it's really weird.
What?
We're in Florida,
Yeah.
obviously. You know that.
That's where I'm at.
Exactly. I'm here too. And what I'm feeling weird about is how the weather has been cool. And we're almost into May. Normally, we're sweating our brains out.
Normally we're swimming a lot by now, but, it's kind of chilly still.
And there's still snow that's been hitting up north. So we're just about going into May. And it's just kind of a weird, I think it's an El Nino or something like that year.
All I know is someone messed with the weather.
Yeah. And you know what? We're having cool nights, which is cool. Literally. But anyways, we got some stuff to talk about today. Basically, we're going to be talking about some semi-trucks that were targeted and a person getting ready to pay a hefty fine and go to jail. And then we're also going to talk about a situation that a trucking company told me about this week where a truck driver burned them for a couple of plane tickets. And I just want to kind of touch base on that. It's kind of a common thing that goes on in trucking these days. And I want to kind of give some drivers some warnings and some heads up on what they're actually doing to their career.
Okay.
All right. So first off, let's go ahead and mention a couple sponsors. Today we are brought to you by National Carriers out of the Irving, Texas area. They've got the beautiful Kenworth T680s in their fleet. Every driver gets one. They're looking for lease purchase drivers and company drivers. Give them a call today. They haul their own freight. There's no broker loads, and it's a really awesome deal. Their number, 888-311-7076.
Okay. How about Carter Lumber?
How about Carter Lumber? Carter Lumber is looking for local drivers.
Yes. Local A and B.
Yes, Class A and Class B. If you're looking to be home every day and want to have a job where you can see the family every day of your life, don't call them. Go to carterlumber.com/talk CDL, and they've got over 160 locations anywhere from east of the Mississippi. carterlumber.com/talk CDL and Camion.io/talk CDL. They are the makers of the break-even calculator. Ruth Ann, the price of fuel is so high right now, $5 a gallon on average. The profit margin that truck drivers are making right now compared to 2-3 months ago, literally is probably $1,000 less.
Right.
What they're bringing home. They're probably actually bringing home even $1,500 less than they were bringing home a few months ago. Owner operators, lease purchases, small fleets, big fleets. And if you go ahead and go to this free download, Camion, Camion.io/talk CDL. Camion has this break-even calculator. It'll show you what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong, and it'll help you improve because every dollar counts today, Ruth Ann.
Definitely every dollar counts.
Okay, so here we go. Talk CDL time.
Take it away, Troy.
Okay, so interesting story. I want to tell a story.
Okay. What else is new, but good.
Well, I like telling stories. So this story goes like this. Now, of course, I was talking to a trucking company. So, it's almost like a man walked into a bar.
I've got many jokes going through my head every time you do that stuff,
No, but seriously, I was talking to a trucking company.
Which happens often.
I talk to many companies a week. They call me, I call them, we all stay in touch.
Right.
I'm not going to say the name of the company. Not going to say the name of this driver that I want to talk about. But this is a very common thing in trucking these days. And it's really very unhealthy for your career. I'm going to tell you that right now. Let me start out by saying this. A lot of truck drivers jump around from job to job.
They do. Some of them will stay at it for up to a year, but generally they do switch often.
Well, I think right now the average is less than 90 days.
Yeah.
Serious. I'm dead serious. Like, for the amount of hiring going on in the industry, less than 90 days, a truck driver stays at his position before, maybe he gets tired of the job. Maybe he thinks he was lied to. Maybe it's not what he thought it was going to be. And many times truck drivers leave basically because they're out there and they get out there on the road and they realize they don't want to be gone so long and blah, blah, blah. It's just a million.
There's many reasons why.
There's so many reasons why drivers, come and go from companies.
Right.
But what's going on in the industry, and this isn't new either, but it's getting more blatant, companies are telling me, where a truck driver, they'll come in and they won't come in, they'll, get on the phone and get qualified to work for somebody. And then they will commit to that company. Okay? So I was talking to this company. Now listen to this. They were telling me about what's been going on there. And they had, this happened to them so many times. And it's drivers, again, they'll accept a position.
Right. They go through the whole application processing all the way to the very end where they get their plane ticket or bus.
And that's really,
booked.
listen, this is the truth. When you say, I'll come to orientation on a certain date.
You made a commitment.
Well, the commitment is big time when the company tells you, all right, call us tomorrow and we'll get you your plane ticket or your car rental, which isn't happening too much these days. Or we'll get you a bus ticket or whatever. We'll pay for your travel. Mm-hmm. And especially towards the end of the week, a lot of these companies cannot get their money back if you don't show.
Right. It's the same way if anybody booked the transportation way, you don't get that return unless you pay extra fees to do it.
So I always say to a carrier, really the acceptance of the job from the driver is when he allows you to book his travel.
Mm-hmm. I would say.
So this carrier booked this driver a load. He lived, you know where he lived? Or not a load, but a plane ticket. I'm getting ahead of myself. So the driver lived near Panama City, Florida.
Okay.
Okay. So they book him a plane ticket and set him up for orientation. They give him his confirmation number. Now, this is a guy that, and this particular company, they'll book you, and then the next day they'll call to make sure, hey, you're on track, and you don't need anything, blah, blah, blah. And
so they stay in touch to make sure that there's no follow-up questions, there's no, misgivings, no nothing to, they can answer the driver any other questions. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. They just want to, make sure their driver's being taken care of. So they book him a plane. He confirms he's coming. Okay. Monday comes. Guess who's not there?
This particular driver?
This particular driver. No show, no call. Right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Of course, they call him, and they call him, and they call him, and of course, he doesn't answer the phone. So a couple days go by. And this driver calls in, and he says, I had an emergency. Right. He says, I had an emergency. I would still like to come if you'll have me.
Huh.
Now, before we move on in that respect, let me just say this. Any driver that's got the attitude, and I mean this sincerely, oh man, my emergency comes over everything. And it should.
If it's an emergency.
But you still owe your potential employer, that's about to give you a nice run or money or whatever, at least a courtesy call over the weekend saying, hey, I'm really sorry. Is there any way you can get your money back on this ticket? I can't make it, blah, 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 right? Mm-hmm. Anyways, so the company, no problem. You had an emergency. We'll go ahead and reschedule you for this coming Monday. So at the end of the week, most companies wait till the end of the week to pay for their plane tickets, obviously.
Right. Keep the driver,
Well, just in case the driver's, going somewhere else, even give them a chance and, Here's what it is. So at the end of the week, guy calls in, he gets his plane ticket, gets his confirmation. He checks in the next day. I'm all good to go. I'll be there, blah, 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 blah. Monday comes. Guess who's not there? Again, same exact driver.
Fool me once, shame on you.
Right, exactly. Fool me twice, shame on me. So now the company is out 2 plane tickets, and they're done with this guy.
Yeah, I would be.
So the story doesn't end there.
Oh.
It seriously, this is a crazy story.
Okay.
So sometime that week, the company is talking to their sister company. Now, the company that he burned is in the Chicago area. But the company that is like a company that's owned by the same corporation.
Okay, a branch of them in some form.
Yeah, like I think they were a flatbed company, and the company in I believe somewhere down there around Dallas or Fort Worth in that area, it was a dry van company, and this dry van company that's related to them, and they got to talking, and what the company normally does is, because anybody in their family or circle, whatever you call, they'll trade names and they'll say, don't hire this guy because he, is really irresponsible. We paid for 2 plane tickets, blah, blah, blah. So they got to going over, their week, trading stories and all. And the company in Illinois was telling the company in Texas about this company, right? Or about this driver. And funny story goes, this driver name sounded familiar to that company in Texas. So they pulled him up, and here that previous week, he actually had burned them for a plane ticket.
Oh, wow. 2 companies, 2 burn tickets.
Two companies, 2 burn tickets. And so this is crazy. So we they put the driver on this list, do not hire list, or whatever you want to call it.
Their company list of blackballed guys or whatever they're called.
Right, because he did the same exact thing to this company in Texas. He no-showed them on a plane ticket. And it was literally the same week, the prior week, the first time the one company got burned. Well, this company decided not to buy him a second plane ticket.
Okay.
So, but he actually called them and said he had emergency also. So he called these companies after he burned them, saying he had an emergency. And it's like he's trying to collect plane tickets. I don't even get this.
You can't cash him in, so I have no idea how he's doing why he's doing it.
No,
that's just cruel. I wonder if he's like one of those guys that date multiple women.
I don't know. I mean, what's I don't even have an answer for that.
Well,
I don't know what that means.
you know what my question is though?
What?
Well, I wonder what his work history looked like.
Well, I mean, I didn't ask that, but so the story don't end there.
Oh, it don't?
No.
Uh-oh.
So you got 2 companies that are related to each other, a flatbed company and a van company. And they were literally comparing notes and, come to find out they both got burned in the same week by the same driver. Okay? Now, that company in Texas are really good friends with another company in Houston, Texas. So this is a third trucking company. No word to lie. This guy, the director, actually, I'm sorry, this lady, it's a lady director. She was talking to the company in Houston. Now, the company in Houston's not related. And they were just sharing notes. We got burnt this week. And what's funny is our sister company up in Illinois got burnt. And she's telling this Houston company about this driver. And she gives him his name. The guy goes, well, you know what? We're friends. Give me the driver's name, and I'll put him on our never hire list also. And she gives him the guy's name, and he goes, oh, let me check something. And he goes into his computer, and here, guess who the Houston company has on schedule for the following week?
You're kidding me.
I'm not kidding you.
Oh my gosh.
This guy now is scheduled to come in on Monday for this trucking company. Now, they didn't buy him a plane ticket.
Okay.
Okay,
well,
they didn't. Well, it wasn't to the end of the week when they, did their travel, so they didn't have their a plane ticket or bus or whatever they were going to give them. They didn't have it set up yet. So they just politely told them they changed their mind. They weren't going to hire him. I'm serious.
Good.
It's not the end of the story, though.
Oh my gosh.
No. I just want to tell you what the driver lost.
Okay.
Now, I think that the company in Illinois, I think they were going to be like a lease, and I don't know what the Dallas thing was going to be. Okay, no big deal, right? You can find a million. But the company in Houston had a dedicated run they were giving him. Now listen to this. The salary, $2,000 a week.
Wow.
Seriously, I'm dead serious. $10.99, $2,000 a week.
That's nice.
Nice new rig. I think it was a Kenworth or a 579 Pete. It was one of those, either the T680 or the Aerodyne Pete. Nice new truck. Check the run out. He was going to be running from the Houston area to Fort Lauderdale and back. That's it.
He'll be going right past his house.
Exactly. Now, check this run out. They were going to have it set up to where he would be home with the product. This is product going back and forth from Florida to the Houston area.
Okay.
So this driver would start on a Monday morning and leave his house, like, I think 550 miles to Fort Lauderdale. He would get there and he would drop a trailer and pick a trailer up and go right back to Houston.
Drop and hook.
But guess what? He had enough time to get to his house to take his 10-hour break Monday night at his house. So he's home for the weekend. Now listen, this driver's going to be home every weekend. He leaves out Monday. He's home sometime Tuesday on his break.
That's a really nice job.
Now listen to this. He leaves his house Wednesday morning, and he goes and drops that load in Houston, right? Wednesday afternoon late. Takes his break in Houston, flips, and comes back, and he's home by Thursday. 3 days off. 3 days. Now, there are, they said there was occasional where he got to Fort Lauderdale, and he might have to lay over there and wait for product. But most of the times, it was already ready. So he would either be working 4 or 5 days a week. $2,000 salary, new rig, home literally twice during the week. He would literally he'd be home Monday night to Tuesday, and then he would leave out, and then he would come back, and most of the time he would be home for at least a 2.5 to 3 day weekend every week. And he's just running I-10, so he's not going north, nothing.
And he screwed it up.
Well, that's my whole point. As soon as this company seen what he had did to his friends, at this other company, he was like, oh man, absolutely, I'll be happy. Because they had 1 million people that probably wanted that run. Yeah. He said, I'll be happy to turn this guy down. And so they called him up and they said, we're not going to take you. And here's why. And they even told him why he was not going to get that job. Dedicated run, Houston to Fort Lauderdale and back in a drive-in, no touch, drop and hook. And you might have to lay over one day. So it's either going to be a 4 or 5 day week, under 2,400 mile round trip. What do you think of that?
With salary, so he's not busting his butt to try and get miles in. That's a great job, and he screwed it up. I wish I was like a fly on the wall to see how his reaction was.
Well, people that burn companies. See, this is what I want to talk about for a little bit. I mean, you truly ruin your career. I mean, I've talked to companies lately that will tell you, I will not hire a driver that abandons a truck. If you abandon a truck at the last company, I'm not going to hire this guy. Okay. Now, this is what some drivers, and I know there's a lot of drivers that are just good drivers. Good drivers.
Right.
And they would refuse ever to abandon any trucking company's equipment.
Right. A lot of them will say, oh, I need to at least get my truck back, and I'll start after that if you can get me from where I'm dropping my truck up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're at least reputable, and I mean most drivers. It's the few that make everybody look bad, and so more and more companies now are saying, I'm not going to hire the guy that abandons somebody else's truck, because as soon as he's pissed off at me, what's he going to do? He's going to abandon my truck. I'm hiring my own turnover. So my advice is, I don't care how. See, and that's the other thing. A driver might think, oh man, I just got to get to this next company. How many jobs have you gone through? And I think a lot of them are thinking each time they go to a new job, this is the one. It's going to be the greatest job because the recruiter made it sound so great. Not that a recruiter might embellish a little.
Right.
Okay, so now my question is, how's that working out for you? Going from job to job, right? And burning the companies behind you, thinking, oh, I don't care what I have to do. I'm just going to get out of this truck and get to my next job. And then boom, you just burn another bridge and you burn another bridge. Well, next time you go to get another job, the only companies now that are going to really hire you are the ones that you're going to hate.
Are the ones that you've already burned. A good reputable. I can't even get that out right now.
Come on, get it out.
It's not wanting to go.
Okay.
Reputable. There we go. Company will want a driver that treats them with respect. So if you're wanting to go to a company that will treat you good, they're going to see how you're treating your past employees or employers also. So they're not going to hire you if you're a driver that goes around. Driver shortages aren't like they're saying it is. Not when it comes to the companies that want to actually be good companies and hire drivers that are good drivers.
Well, I'll tell you something that a lot of drivers don't understand. For the last 2 years, you had a good percent of drivers that were staying home because of the COVID. Now, in the last month or two, they're being just flushed into the industry. Plus, the good weather is back now. At least most of the good weather is back now, which made even more drivers come out of the closet or whatever you want to call it.
Out of the recliner, the lazy boy.
They came out of the recliner, but the bottom line is they came out. Okay, they came out.
It just sounds bad. I like the recliner.
Yeah, they came out of the recliner. Okay. But anyway, so you get a bunch of drivers that are going back on the road, which really, that's why the rates are going down. A lot of people don't understand that. The rates out there, and this is why I was telling you about earlier how drivers are, with Cammie, and I had mentioned how rates have gone down and fuel has gone up. Well, the reason why that the rates have gone down is because you have an abundance of drivers in the industry. For the last 2 years, you did not have enough drivers in the industry. So shippers had to beg people to take their freight, and they paid crazy money to get it hauled. You're not, those rates, those $3, $4, or $5 a mile hauling you were doing, that's far and few in between. Now rates are down big time. And the more drivers that are in the industry, the lower it's going to stay. And so now what I'm getting at is those same drivers that are burning people, they were able to go ahead and just go to any company they wanted, and companies were so damn desperate, they didn't give a flying rat's ass how much you burned the last company because they needed you in their truck. Well, now there's more drivers to pick from.
Right.
And so they're not taking the guys that are abandoning trucks. They're not doing that. So my advice is take the truck back. Don't burn the next company. And guess what? Don't call a company and commit to an airplane ticket and then call another one. I'll tell you right now, if you're a decent enough driver, you can just go ahead and investigate 10 companies this week and then just tell the one company you like the best, I'm coming, and just show up. You don't have to jack 9 other companies and tell them you're coming, because why do you want to burn 9 bridges? I don't even get that, Ruth Ann. I
don't get it either. I mean, now in today's technology too, when you have, the like 10th Street and stuff like that, there's no way that you cannot communicate, because 10th Street has like driver pulse, they have the messengers, they have so many ways that you can communicate and just shoot a street. You don't even have to speak to them if you don't want to. You can message them. If you don't want to call,
right,
just shoot a message.
You can most of them do text back and forth. So if you're not wanting to be confrontational, and a lot of drivers, I get that. Most drivers don't want to call up and go, hey, I changed my mind, because the company's going to start, talking to you and going, hey, listen, let us reconvince you. You know what I mean? They're going to try to give the pressure sales to get you in. And like Ruth Ann said, just text them and say, hey, I'm sorry, I'm going somewhere else. But don't let them buy you a transportation ticket. You can get that ticket all the way up till the end of the day on Friday. I'm serious. If you're not sure you want to go to a company and you don't want to talk to them just yet because maybe you're looking at somebody else and you're waiting for another one to say yes to you, then wait till Friday. And then if that company doesn't take you, then go to that company, commit to them, and show up. Be a man.
Right.
Or a woman. I don't know of any women that do that, to be honest with you.
We're a little bit more respectable in that.
Yeah, I'm serious. I haven't seen many women that burn. I'm not saying that there probably isn't any women, but I'm just saying bottom line is communicate this. Why burn? Do you know how many companies, and you know what, that's the other attitude. Some of them got that attitude of, which this guy did. He had the attitude of, I could burn these guys and they'll still take me. Well, companies are starting to say, F that. We're not going to take you.
Well, how are the trucks? I mean, there's not many trucks that are parked right now. They're not. They're still trying to get a lot of their fleet with the upgrade from the different manufacturers. So it's not like there's a ton of trucks there. And if you're going to burn them, they're going to fill that seat with someone else that's not going to burn them. You know, that's going to be
absolutely
more respectable and, honest.
Yep. So let's just recap this for 1 second. If you drivers that don't have the cojones to call up a company and go, hey, I changed my mind. Look what happened to this driver. Look what happened to him. He burned 2 companies, one for 2 plane tickets and one for another. And then he finally found a job that he thought, this is going to be awesome. And it sounds like a really good job.
It does sound good.
A $2,000 salary.
Yeah, it sounds like a really good job.
I think it was like between $1,900 and $2,000 or something like that.
Still, it was a really great job.
And he was 1099, so he gets all the money. So all I'm saying is, look at the schedule he screwed himself out of.
I don't think drivers realize that directors at different companies talk to each other. They're not like where some drivers would think, oh, they just sit in their office and they're too snotty to talk to the other company. It's not like that. Directors talk to each other and, they even ask them, hey, how's it going? What's recruiting like on your end? It's like this way on our end. They share information, and it's the way they always done things. Now they're just getting a little bit more out there with it, where they're
Don't forget about DAC.
Oh gosh, DAC is huge with reporting,
which is now called Hire, right?
Mm-hmm.
But DAC, it used to stand for Driver Access Code. Drivers, that's the other thing you should know. And I don't think some of them give a flying rat's.
I don't think they even realize the PSP. So
PSP, DAC, all that stuff.
That's a communication on you.
Right. So, hey, listen, we're just trying to share the word here. So you guys, this is the one thing I would tell these drivers, the ones that are burning people, stop shitting up the industry that I love. I mean that sincerely.
You're ruining it for everybody.
Most guys, even guys that have a lot of jobs, there's a lot of them that at least have the respect to say, I'm just going to, look them in the eye and say, I'm not going to work for you anymore. I'm taking I'm bringing your truck back, give me a ride home, blah, blah, blah. And, I have more respect for that driver than I do the guy that just, either abandons your truck or he lets you pay for his way in there and then he burns the company. Mm-hmm. So word to the wise, guys, you're only hurting you. Mm-hmm. You literally, did you see, actually, I'm going to just mention this. On Talk CDL the other day, a guy sent us a video. I'm not kidding you. And this video was titled, I Quit My Job. I forgot about this. He took raw fish, put it in the bed. He put all kind of fish all over inside the cab and got out and walked. So that truck was going to be sitting there with a bunch of seafood in it and is going to stench up. And do you want to know what the driver's reactions were on that? Every driver said, only one or two laughed. Most drivers said, you are one dumbass.
Yeah.
You're burning the next driver that's going to be in that truck.
Exactly. It's the company. The company will just keep cleaning it out. But the driver, like, remember we did a thing on the stinky truck that was for one of the companies that they had told you about?
Yeah, the stinky truck.
That's the same situation. It's not the company. I mean, the company will keep going and trying to clean it, but the next driver that goes in there's got to deal with that.
Can you imagine when that driver calls for a reference, or when the next trucking company, because he might think, oh, I'm not going to put this down on my application, right? And so maybe the company that you burned and stuck fish in, okay, they put you on deck.
Right.
Then the next company goes to hire you, and it says personal contact. There's a note in there what you did. And then the company says, what's your email address? I want to send you a video that this guy made in our truck of him sticking fish underneath the bunk and all over the place in the truck. Literally. Now just imagine what the next company is going to say. Do you really think that anybody in their right mind, and except for a really bad trucking company, somebody that's so desperate that you're going to hate them anyways when you go there, that's the only company that's going to give you a chance if you do crap like that?
That actually...
That irritates you, doesn't it?
It really irritates me because like the comments were saying, that's the next driver you're screwing.
Yeah, you're screwing a driver. You're screwing the companies. They're going to have to spend some money to come pick the truck up, and they're going to have it cleaned up and everything, which, like you said, Ruth, they will clean it. But in the long run, you get burnt way more than this company's going to get burnt, because any respectable, good trucking company is going to pull your DAC, and every respectable, good company is going to go, absolutely never hire this guy. I won't give him a break. And so there you go. You sealed your own fate because you thought you were making a funny video.
Not only that, but you know what else is, you think you're being funny by doing certain things like that, but it really does come back at you. You might not realize it comes back at you in one form, but it will come back at you.
I hear you. Okay. Well, listen, that's really what I wanted to talk about. Just drivers, a heads up. I don't care how pissed off you are at a company. Protect yourself. Protect your future. You guys got to start I know 99% of them don't do this, Rutan, but you got to realize that it's going to hurt you way more than the company. Go back to the company, give them their truck, or if they buy you a plane ticket, show up. If you're not sure that you want to come, then just tell them nicely, listen, I'm waiting on another decision from another company, and if they call me and approve me, I'm going to go with them instead. That company will be more respectful and say, no problem, we'll leave the door open for you.
Right, they would. If you show a company respect, they're going to show it back to you. And even if like you said, if the driver's sitting there saying, you know what, I got this really great opportunity, but I like my company, but this one's just like that run that you were just saying that the guy totally trashed. It got taken away from him. You never know if those kind of opportunities come up. But if you're at least honest and upfront with the company you're with, listen, I got this really great opportunity. I'd like to give it a shot. I'm going to quit you. At least if for some reason you're trying that new shot, if it doesn't work out, you can always go back. Most companies, if you leave them with enough dignity and respect, they'll take you back. Most companies don't sit there and hold that against you. They're not that prideful.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on.
DriveWise.
DriveWise, Ruth Ann. We are brought to you today by DriveWise. That's DriveWyze, DriveWyze.com. That's DriveWyze.com. They are the company that is app-based for you to bypass the scales.
I think it's a great concept.
It's really cool. You don't have to have a transponder. You don't have to order a little piece that you have to get in the mail and then put in your truck. Literally, you download the app and you're bypassing the scale houses, and they are number one. And I would say go to drivewise.com and start saving yourself some time at the scales today.
Correct.
And that's for anybody, owner-operators, small fleets, anybody can use it. Also, our podcast, Ruth Ann, is brought to you by JJ Keller.
Yay.
JJ Keller, 888-601-2017. Tell them Talk CDL sent you. Find out why we call him the trucker secretary. And JJ Keller there's so many things they do for small fleets, for large fleets, for drivers that are looking to become owner-operators and get a DOT number. They also will organize you. If you have a small staff, these people can really work with your paperwork, file everything for you every year. And that's 888-601-2017. And one more we are brought to you by, and that is driving-tests.org.
You spend a lot of money getting your schooling to get your CDL. This is a perfect way to ensure that that investment is well worth it.
Well, Ruth Ann, I'm not going to mention her name, but everybody probably knows who I'm talking about. A good friend of ours, she's in a trucking school right now, and guess what? The message came over yesterday. She failed her test again. She failed her test twice, and she's at a trucking school. And I said to her, I said, why don't you download or why don't you sign up for driving-test.org? They guarantee you that you'll pass your CDL. Oh, I'm gonna. Guess what? She didn't do it. And it was like $49 for the month, and they guarantee you that you will pass your CDL. And here she is going to take it for the third time. Wow. 49. So she's paying the trucking school like $7,000, right? Fails her test twice. She could have added $49 and been done already and passed. Anyways, driving-tests.org. Go sign up. And all these people, would you please call them and let them know that Talk CDL sent you over. Helps us out. And we really appreciate everybody's business out there. Ruth Ann, moving on, I got one quick article. And there's a lady. Let me read this to you. Basically, I'll give you the rundown. There's people out there that target tractor trailers. And what they do is they'll cut in front of them. They'll make it to the trucker has to hit them, right? And then they'll sue the trucking company. And this particular woman, she was ordered to pay $4.7 million for a staged semi-truck crash scheme. It says a Louisiana court, as you read about it, ordered a defendant to reimburse millions of dollars paid out as part of a sprawling staged crash scheme targeting truckers in New Orleans area. And look, I'm not going to read it and go into this too much. I just want to say this. There's a lot of drivers out there that they feel like, oh, I don't get out of anybody's way, man. And you get some crazy four-wheeler coming up around you, and then you pull out because you see he's driving fast. He might actually be trying for you to hit him. That's what I'm trying to say. You see a four-wheeler that's driving close to you or whatever, and you're just going to hold the line. Drivers, you could actually be being targeted and you don't even know it. And you think, well, I'm going to hold my line and I'm not going to let this car push me around, and maybe they'll brake check you. There's little four-wheelers that will get in front of a trucker and brake check you. He could be trying to get you to hit him.
Right. No, it's true.
And you might even think, well, I got a dash cam. I'm just going to stay where I'm at. I've seen drivers go down the road, they get cut off by a four-wheeler, and the four-wheeler's barely in front of them, and the driver doesn't back off. Well, once you stay on their ass for more than a couple seconds, now it becomes your fault.
Right, you're traveling too closely.
Right, even though they came in front of you and cut you off, the only way it's their fault is if they cut you off and you hit them right away. You hit them within a second or two, that's one thing. But if they're brake checking you and slowing down, and you're just going to ride their ass, I could assure you, after about 5-10 seconds of dash cams showing that you're following the guy, you're better off taking an exit, you're better off taking a rest area, you're better off pulling off to the side of the road. Let that car get down the road, because there's a good chance it's a scam.
It's a very good chance. It's been going on for a while, but this one here in Louisiana finally got justice for the drivers, because so many times with the dash cams it did help them. But the biggest thing is there was so many they were taken advantage of that it was able to get a lot of information that was going on.
I think it was it Sierra England or Swift or one of those bigger companies, or JB Hunt actually. There's the ones that got targeted by these scammers. And like you said, it wasn't just this lady, because if you read the article,
there's like 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah.
4 or 5 that
there
were
was
involved in it.
A bunch of them where what they did was in fact, what some of them that did the suing weren't even in the car. They would have some guy swerve into a trucker, right? And by the time the trucker got stopped, they switched drivers, and some lady I guess when you get like a woman with kids, right? The jury is usually going to side really fast with somebody that seems like the weaker vessel. And so they'll get some guy that's really good at swerving or whatever and get nipped by the truck and then they pulled a switcheroo where a woman got in the car, which is this lady right here, and then she went ahead and filed lawsuit against the big companies. The big companies actually paid out. They paid out millions of dollars in a lawsuit, and then it came to find out that these people in Louisiana were actually just driving around targeting tractor trailers because why? Because trucking companies means big money.
Right. And it was easy for them to blame the big truck. For so long, that was the scapegoat was the big truck. And now they can't do that as much.
So my advice, drivers, if you get somebody brake checking you, cutting you off, all of a sudden for no reason, you think, oh, okay, why is this driver acting like an asshole? Guess what? They might be acting like an asshole to get you pissed off so that you stay close to them so they can whack you with their brakes. And you know what? It doesn't mean that you're ever even going to find out it was a scam. The bottom line is somebody gets in front of you, get off the road. I'm telling you right now, if somebody cuts you off and there's no exit, just put your blinkers on and pull off the side of the road and let them get down the road because something don't sound right when they do that.
Right. No, I agree.
Okay, so that is our podcast for the day or for the week, Ruth Ann. What do you have for us? Do you have the word of the day?
The word of the day is brought to you by Word Genius. I do not represent Word Genius, but I love Word Genius.
That is true. Word Genius is not a sponsor, but we do like to put the word of the day up for these people because it's actually a really good program. It's free. You can go down there and download it and you'll get a word of the day every day. So what is the word of the day?
Judder.
Judder?
Judder. Judder. Judder.
And what does judder mean?
Judder means shake and vibrate rapidly and with force, especially of something mechanical.
Shake and vibrate?
Rapidly and with force. Not just shake and rattle or shake and vibrate, but it has to be with force.
So you judder it.
So the gear shift would judder every time Mike started the car, or the girl juddered in the cold breeze because she wasn't dressed warmly.
That is really, really interesting.
It is.
Judder.
They gave the picture of like the space shuttle going up, and I guess, like with the force of the jets going, the propulsion of it, it makes everything inside judder.
That's awesome. Are we ready to end it?
Peace.
Peace. Praise the Lord.